Welcome back for our weekly talk with the Pacific Coast Business Times. Executive editor Tony Biasotti joins us live. Good afternoon, Tony.
Hi, good afternoon.
So twice in the last week, Congressman Salud Carbajal has had roundtable meetings with local business leaders to talk about inflation concerns. What did they have to say to the congressman about the rising cost of goods and the difficulties they're facing?
Yeah, a lot of it, I think, is what they've been saying to everyone who will listen, just that it's quite difficult out there right now, really, no matter what line of business you're in, but especially, anybody who has to pay costs related to shipping or transportation or anything that touches on fuel costs, that's very impacted. Food, international trade, costs of moving anything over the oceans, but it's affecting small businesses as well. Basically, everything is more expensive. And unfortunately for employees, there's been some growth in wages, but it's not the growth in inflation is outpacing that. People are not seeing real improvement in their wages.
Carbajal is part of a Democratic group of House lawmakers who put together an inflation action plan, and there's been some movement on that this week. How do they hope that helps?
There's a lot of things in those bills. Some of it has to do with trying to make some headway on fuel costs, and that's actually, as I'm sure everyone has noticed, gas prices have gone down already a bit. It seems like they peaked so far, at least a few weeks or a month ago. There's a lot of stuff. There was another inflation an agreement in the Senate in what they're calling an anti-inflation bill. A lot of it is very hard, I think, to judge how much it'll affect inflation because it's been 40 years or something since we've had to deal with significant inflation. And a lot of the things that are in the usual political toolbox that politicians like to do, big stimulus bills, during the 2009 recession, 2008 recession, and in the pandemic and all that. If you're cutting taxes, if you're spending money, in normal times, people like that, but in inflationary times, that could make the problem worse.
Sure. Part of this plan here is to produce more of the computer chips that are vital to so many modern products, including cars, phones, appliances. Today, the House passed a bill that was already approved by the Senate to invest $52 billion in semiconductor chip production in the U.S. Congressman Carbajal sent out a message about that today, promoting the fact that happened. The president still needs to sign it. It would provide tax credits to incentivize companies to make the chips here in the U.S. That may well help a lot, but not right away. So more pressing, Tony, to many is rising costs and now rising interest rates. What do you make of the Fed raising them again this week and how it will affect local businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's expected. And you could probably expect more. There has been a lot of interest rate increases this year, but still not as many, it's still not keeping up with what we're seeing in inflation. It's a big oversimplification to picture like the Federal Reserve with a big knob that moves between economic growth and like low inflation, but it's not that far off, So the idea is to try to move it a little bit, and unfortunately that will slow down the economy, but enough that it'll slow down inflation as well.
Yeah, certainly a delicate balance. Tony Biasotti, thank you very much, executive editor with the Pacific Coast Business Times. Read more about Salud Carbajal meeting with business leaders and their concerns related to inflation in this week's issue and online as well. We will post a link to it. Tony, thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. You too.